All right, it is 7 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order. We have established a quorum with all of our regular members tonight. Are there any agenda additions? Last minute, anything? Cool. I would entertain a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of June 4th. Oh, I missed that. Sorry, we gotta stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I got
We have no new applications to be received, so we're gonna jump into our public hearing.
minutes.
Oh, sorry, I read that and then we got distracted.
Yeah, I messed you up.
Yeah, you messed me up. Is there a motion for the meeting minutes of June 4th?
Make a motion to approve the meeting of June 4th, is it? Yeah,
Yeah,
as submitted.
I'll second it.
It's right on here. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
I have it right on my agenda.
I must have changed it before I printed. it.
Okay. Alrighty, so we have our public hearing. Do we need to open the public hearing? Or do I just start?
Want to make a motion to open it? Let's-
Alan, do we need a motion for the
Make
public?
a motion to open the public hearing.
You did.
Oh, you did?
You second it?
Alan seconds. Perfect.
Okay.
All in favor? All right, welcome to tonight's meeting of the East Windsor Wetlands Watercourse Agency Commission meeting. My name is Rebecca Davis. I'm the chair of the commission, and I would like to take a few minutes to explain the format of this meeting. Also be advised that this meeting is being recorded and the meeting minutes will be posted on the town's website. Tonight's meeting will be composed of two parts, public hearing and a public meeting. During the public hearing, the first thing we will do is read the public notice into the record. Then we will list and briefly describe the documents received in the file. The applicant will then present the application to us in detail, which will allow the commission members and the public a better opportunity to understand the proposed. Commission members may ask questions during this presentation. Then we will ask members of the public who support the application to speak. After this, we will ask members of the public who oppose the application to speak. Lastly, we will allow those that do not wish to be classified to support or oppose the application to come forward and ask any additional online comments, which we don't have anybody yet. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand, wait for the chair to recognize you, and then either unmute the microphone or come forward to the podium over there. And please state your name for the record and speak into the non-existent microphone. Address all comments to the chair and not the applicant directly or the members of the public. The meeting is to discuss permit specifically and only pertaining to the wetlands. Comments not pertaining to wetlands will not be heard as they will be discussed at a subsequent planning and zoning commission meeting. Be advised that this is your opportunity to speak, to ask questions and make comments on the application because once the hearing is closed, no additional testimony from the public or applicant will be permitted. After this, we will hold a public meeting. We will deliberate on the application submitted to us and decide how to act. The commission may approve the application that was submitted, approve it with stipulations, conditions, and modifications, table actions for a future meeting. In a rare case, deny the application. 3 affirmative votes commission are generally required to approve the application. If you need to leave the meeting before discussions are rendered, you may call the planning and zoning office tomorrow at 860-623-6030 to get the results of tonight's meeting or wait to watch the recording. All right, let's begin. We have IWWA 12-2025 for 68 Newberry Road for the construction of a 150 and 500 square foot commercial building in a regulated wetlands upland review area. The owner applicant is MH Realty 7 LLC, map block lot 93-19-6. And then the legal notice. Oh, thank you. The East Windsor Inland Wetlands Watercourse Agency will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, July 2nd at 2025 At 7 o'clock. Details regarding how to attend will be published on the commission's agenda and will be made on the town's, available on the town's website. For IWWA 12-2025, owner applicant HM Realty 7 LLC seeking approval for construction of a, these numbers don't exactly match, but 148,714 square foot of impervious surface within the upland review area and a temporary disturbance of less than 1,000 square feet in the regulated area to install riprap at drainage outfall locations in association with the site development at 68 Newberry Road, map 93, block 19, lot 006, zone M1. A full copy of the application is available on the IWWA webpage on the town's website. All interested parties may attend the meeting to provide verbal or written comments regarding the application. Okay, I need a drink. On June 4th, 2025, we, the Wetlands Commission, received an application for new construction from F.A. Haskin and Associates Incorporated, along with a plan set wetland investigation prepared by REMA. At this time, we will hear the applicant for a presentation of the project. You can grab a chair.
Probably just sit here.
Yeah, you can grab a chair, rolly chair, solid chair.
Can't really comfort. I have a choice.
We don't charge extra for those.
Fall asleep, just kick me in the shins. And I think you have the ability to project that on the screen, or?
To share your screen. Do you have the documents or no?
I don't have them.
I have a flash drive.
Yeah, we can put the flash.
If that helps.
Yeah.
There's only 4 files on there. And while she's doing that, I'll introduce myself. Good evening. For the record, my name is Guy Hesketh. I'm a licensed professional engineer with F.A. Hesketh and Associates and a principal. Our corporate offices are located in East Granby, Connecticut. And we assisted the applicant in preparation of the plans and some of the studies that you have submitted with you as part of the application. In the audience, Brad Wayman and Bob Urso are here. They're representing UW Realty 7 LLC. And George Logan from REMA Ecological Services is here in case there are any questions for him. And I know you've heard a lot of what this proposal was at the last meeting, so I'm going to just go over quickly and get enough detail so you can get a full scope of
Do you want to?
application.
What you need.
Yeah, that's right. Let me start with the plan set here. Hold on a second. Where are we here? Yeah, here we go. So this,
Just go back to the Zoom so you can share your screen too.
oh. I'll give it to somebody that's under,
Put it down at the bottom.
that's under.
Go away. Share
Okay, that puts it in the public.
and PDF. Share.
That's perfect.
Alrighty. Back to you.
All right, so this is the plan set that you have before you. It includes the layout, landscape grading, drainage utility plan, erosion control plan, certain details. This is the layout plan, and the lot itself is located in 68 Newberry Road. It's currently where Steve Dearborn runs a mulching operation. It was a larger lot. The lot that's to the east of that came before you in an application for Penske. I think it was last year, somewhere around
Yes.
there. So this was actually carved out. This lot was carved out of that larger lot. The larger lot goes further to the east here. It's comprised of 13.34 acres. As I mentioned, it's currently involved in a mulch making operation. And as we began to prepare these plans, there were some studies that were done as part of over the years on this site. We came before this commission when Steve initially had his mulching operation. Even before that, he had a contractor's yard. He had a number of applications came over the years before the commission. One of them included the construction of the farm pond, which is down on the lower portion of the site, and I'll address that in a minute. As part of the mulch operation, we did generate a stormwater detention basin. You know, we're incorporating both of those features into this development and using those management practices that currently exist. We had Mr. Logan go out this year in the spring and just review the wetlands on the site to make sure we knew what they were. So he went out and did a delineation of those wetlands and submitted a wetlands delineation report that you have as part of your record. Those wetlands are depicted on the plan set that you have here, and I'll show you specifically what they are in a moment. So in a nutshell, this layout plan shows what the primary components of the development are. And it includes the construction of a 150 some odd square foot building, which is this rectangular shape you see here. There's a paved driveway that comes in and goes around the back of the site and discharges back out to Newberry Road. So there are two entrances, ingress, egresses to Newberry Road that will allow the trucks to come around the back of the site. And when they come around the back, they can back in, and there's some loading positions located here on the back of the building, and some additional parking for trailers, tractor trailers, if they come in and they need additional storage. Those are located in the back here. And then in the front, we have paved parking for employees and visitors. There's a total of 45 spaces for the truck loading positions. 41 of them actually are loading docks. A couple of those have stairwells in them, so they could be used for smaller trucks to park in there. 33 trailer parking spaces, as I mentioned, in the back here. And then up front, we've got 120 parking spaces and 12 electric vehicle parking spaces, the requisite accessible parking spaces. They're all located up front. And as part of this proposal also, we have located, located here, this is the existing detention facility that's at the site. It's long cigar-shaped basin. The existing farm pond is located here, and then we're proposing an additional stormwater detention basin. Let me go to, how do I get back to my file? Sure.
The bottom where it says East Fund. In the middle on the bottom.
Let's see. Oh, right here.
That's just a PDF. Go over a little more. That's your flash drive.
Okay, yeah, here we go. So let me show you this one. I've got one that's colored up a little bit to show a little bit what these look like. How do I increase the size? Over here?
Yeah, you can zoom in. You can also close those side boxes too.
Right here?
No, where it says bookmarks, there's a little X there, and then on the other side of. Yeah.
I'm mostly incompetent when it comes to this technical.
And then you can zoom in on the bottom right corner.
Okay, yeah, let me do that right here. Let me just, how do I scroll this down? Is there any way I can?
You're down all the way that zoom.
I can't
thing's in the
close this
way.
here, can I?
No.
All right, let me show you from this. So what I've delineated here, and this is shown on your plan, is this is the farm pond, and this thicker blue line here represents the wetland resources, and they're located along this side of the line itself in the pond. And this is the cigar-shaped existing detention basin, and that's delineated wetland. And then over here in this dash, a little bit darker blue line, I'm showing what is your 150-foot upland review area, which your regulations require. So there's this guy kind of gives you the scope of where the development is in relationship to the wetlands and the upland review area. So within that upland review area, we have a certain number of activities taking place. Obviously, we're going to be doing some grading for the second detention basin that we're adding to this. We're going to do a little grading along the edge here to make a grade change. We've got grading, filling, and paving to create paved surfaces up in here in the upland review area. We've got stormwater drainage, pipes, catch basins, and structures put in that will discharge into this basin. So all of these activities here are taking place in the upland review area. Once we get down past this basin, we have a little bit of grading on the side here, but this grading remains the same for the pond. The grading in here is going to remain the same for this detention pond, but we are going to eliminate an existing interconnection between this water quality basin and our farm pond. And we're going to be adding a new pipe connection between these two, and then the overflow from the second basin here will go into the farm pond. So, and then the farm pond just discharges out to the grade like it does today. It discharges to a swale that's located down on the back, and it snakes its way around and then heads south. Goes under a culvert, cross culvert on Craftsman Road, and that's been there for a number of years. So that's kind of what our scope of activities is taking place there. Let me go back to my. plan set again. I can show you that. So the grading plan and the drainage associated with this. We have I don't know, I did that. So we're gonna take that runoff through a series of storm drains, which are gonna take the eastern half of the site, begins up here, picks up the drainage from the parking area and discharges it down, picks up drainage here and discharges it into the existing water quality basin. And then on the western side, or we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna pick up the western half of the northern area, pull it down along the perimeter of the drive, and pick up the runoff that's in the back area where the trucks are, and we're gonna put it into this water quality basin. So we've kind of come up with a sort of an innovative way to reuse the existing infrastructure that's there. Instead of making one large water quality basin, we're going to leave the smaller one in here and use it sort of like a sediment forebay for pretreatment. So we'll take that runoff, we'll discharge it into here, and then we're going to take that runoff and discharge it into a bigger basin here. And then this bigger basin will discharge to the existing farm pond. And then the overflow from the farm pond will go out to that swale that's located on the southern portion, like it does now, and work its way down to Craftsman Road. We've done a comprehensive stormwater hydrologic analysis that we've included, and you received this as part of the application. It's this stormwater management report. In that stormwater management report, we utilized the Connecticut Department of Transportation and Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection methodologies. We ran the Soil Conservation Service method. We ran the type D distribution. That may not mean much to you, but what that is in the new 2024 water quality manual, the Connecticut DEP asked us to use a different stormwater distribution model than they have in past years. And what we do is we take that type D distribution. What that is an S curve, and it tells you how much precipitation falls over 24 hours. If you looked at it as a bell curve, it has a certain shape to it. During the peak of the storm, the highest precipitation intensity is at the top of the bell, and then on the outskirts, it tapers off a little bit, just like a typical bell. Just a statistical model, but it's what they require. And then we use the updated rainfall intensities from the NOAA website. The DOT used to publish numbers years ago in a manual that they would use for 10 years. Every 10 years, they'd update it. Now with everything online, we can actually go into the NOAA website and they do a real-time update by looking at precipitation stations in the area. And they do a statistical model and they update these about every 2 or 3 months. They come up with a different rainfall intensity. So what it is there's some concern now in recent years that rainfalls have become more intense. We actually use the more intense data because the data is real time in the last few months. We run that in a model and then we run the model and it comes up with an analysis. So the bottom line is when we do our stormwater hydrologic analysis, we know if we increase the impervious area of a site, we get peak and runoff because water that used to infiltrate into the ground and absorb somewhat in the ground tends to run off faster. So we need to create detention facilities that will capture that runoff, allow it to fill up, and then we throttle it out with an outlet structure slowly over time so that we try to mimic the peak rate of runoff that actually leaves the site. Well, in our model, we ran the existing condition runoff for the 100-year storm. We end up with a peak flow of report here. So we compare the existing versus the proposed conditions of the site, and we say, okay, how much, if it rains today under the existing site condition, how much runoff will actually leave the site? And then we look at the model, we run it through our detention basins. The model throttles up and determines how much storage is involved, and lets the water out slowly over time, and tells you what your peak rate is. So under our existing condition, for the 100-year storm, which on average is about 1% chance in any given year, or if you were to take measurements over 1,000 years, probably about once every 100 years, you'd have a storm of that intensity. Fairly intense storm. Under existing conditions coming out of our farm pond, we have 17 CFS. Under our proposed conditions, we're at 5.4. So we've got a significant reduction in that. And the reason is because we have this a much larger detention basin that we're providing for this.
17 is coming out of the farm pond now.
Yeah, out of the farm pond, and if you have a 100-year storm tomorrow, we would expect 17 CFS to come out of the farm pond. When the proposal is finished, we'd have 5.4. That's what our model shows. So your town engineer has reviewed this model. I've had conversations with him. He concurs with our conclusions that we follow the methodologies that our model does reflect the methodologies that are required, and it meets your town standard. So we do that for a bunch of different storms. We can do it all the way from the 2-year storm to the 100-year storm. And for the 2-year storm, we actually have a decrease also. So for all of our storm events, we have a decrease. You have to be careful when you design these. Sometimes you can design them so that for the 2-year storm, you have an increase, but you have a decrease in the rest of the storms. But for a 2-year storm under existing, we're at 3.0, under proposed, we're 2.8. So it's very modest. For a 10-year storm, existing 14.6, we're down to 3.9. So what this shows us is our outlet's relatively small diameter, and it allows that water to back up in our pond and then slowly get released over time. So that I won't bore you with the details of that. I just wanted to explain how we did it and that we did follow the town state standards. But those are information provided for. So we did maintain the drainage patterns. Existing, most of the flow goes to the corner and discharges out the farm pond. Under our proposed condition, it does the same thing. And then your town regulations also require that we prepare a soil erosion sediment control plan. And that's included in the set here that you see. That includes a number of best management technologies, including perimeter controls, which are silt fence, hay bale check dams, or hay bale erosion checks around the perimeter of the proposal. We've got construction exits out to both entrances or exits at Newberry Road. We are proposing inlet protection in all catch basins in the form of a silt sack, erosion control blankets on steeper slopes, which you can see these shaded areas here. Any slopes that are 3-to-1, or for every vertical foot, if you go 3 foot, or every 3 foot horizontally, if you go more than 1 foot vertically. It's not a very steep slope, but it's steep enough that erosion can take place. We put the erosion control blankets on there. We are providing for temporary sediment traps in some of the low spots around the catch basins, temporary soil stockpiles, and of course, riprap erosion protection on the outfalls for our storm drainage. And basically what that is at the end of the pipe, because the velocity is high, you put crushed stone. There's a DOT specification for that, a certain size, and that keeps erosion from occurring. So we provide all that to meet the DEP and the Connecticut DOT standards. And then we do have a stone check dam proposed in our basin here. We also have some trap hoods proposed in the last catch basin in each of the storm drain systems. That's got a 4-foot sump on there, and it's a plastic insert. If you have floating debris or oils or anything like that, it gets trapped on the surface. It allows you to, so first line of defense that allows you the ability to mitigate that and keep those potential pollutants out of the stormwater discharge. So that erosion control plan does meet your town requirements, and also the water quality manual for Connecticut DEP and their new guidelines for soil erosion and sediment control. The detail sheets, just here's an erosion control blanket, for example, details of the plunge pool, the construction exit, sediment logs that we can implement, stone check dam, silt fence, standard details. Here's a detail showing the catch basin with the 4-foot sump in. trap hood. And these are just standard engineering details on the next couple sheets that we have, stuff that really doesn't pertain to wetlands, but things of that nature. And the note sheets include details of the soil erosion sediment control required by state statute, have a narrative, and to have descriptions of what we're proposing in a construction sequence. That's outlined on there. And we do have a stormwater long-term maintenance plan that we've included on there. Basically, keep the site clean, make sure the sediments are clean out of the detention basin, cut the woody vegetation out of the detention basin so that they don't, roots don't protrude. The standard stuff that we have on all of our proposals. And then the survey plan is located on the back of the set. And the set also includes a layout floor plan and just a general elevation of the building, which probably is not of too much interest to you at this point. So, that's what we've got. Just go over landscape real quick. Just want to address that. So in our package, we have a landscape plan. And essentially, like in the wetlands area here, what we're proposing in the upland review area are some trees along the edge between the parking and the water quality basin. Our experience has been you don't want to put too many trees in because you want that people who are operating the site to visibly be able to see the detention basin. So if there's something wrong with them, they can spot it out and you're resolved. So we have enough vegetation in there to soften it up. We're going to have just a small strip, 20-foot wide for manicured lawn back here. And then the rest of it, everything that's disturbed in this area here will be treated with a conservation erosion mix. And that includes a bunch of grasses and different plants that are indigenous to the area that you don't mow all the time. You might go out there and mow it once, maybe twice a year if you need to, but sort of let it go fallow and let Mother Nature take its course. But it does have to be mowed enough that you can look and make sure that inspections can be done on those water quality basins. So that's what we provided for that. So that plan also shows the other landscaping on the site, but that's pretty much it in a nutshell. We did receive comments from the town engineer, and we are, he opined that those were sort of minor in nature. We're addressing those as we put together the plan set for your planning and zoning commission to review. I had a conversation with him yesterday, and he told me that he was satisfied. I think he submitted I saw a memo from him saying that he had looked at these. I also did receive from staff a memorandum or a letter from Mr. Wilcox, who has the lot next door. And he had some concerns. I have addressed those in writing and submitted it for the record. Do you have copies of those?
Yeah, those are in our
Oh,
packet.
okay. I brought those in case.
Yeah.
So I apologize for last minute, but I did just get those. I guess he submitted it really late last week, and by the time it trickled down through the system. So those were addressed. I don't know if you want me to go through those. I'm available if you do. It's pretty comprehensive what I wrote. I think in a nutshell, his concerns were, is the detention basin and the discharge going to back up onto my property? That's not the case because our topographic survey shows topographically his property is higher up and the water flows away from him. I went down today just before this meeting to verify because I know there's been some recent construction out there and the drainage swale is still functioning. It's between the parcels. It is flowing. I noticed there was a trickle of flow in it today. It has adequate capacity to convey what's going there today, and we're reducing the total amount of runoff at peak rate. So that's not an issue. He had some question about the impervious area of the site. He's off a little on his calculation. He thought it was at 70%. We're actually at, I think, 57%, but your regulations allow up to 75. As I mentioned, the 100-year storm event, we have a significant reduction, a 74% reduction in the peak flow for the 100-year. He had a question about the grading in the back, and I think he might have misinterpreted that. But if you look at our grading plan, it does show that we are not causing any kind of berm that will cause water to back up on this parcel. And again, I went out to the site today and verified that. That was on question 3.
Could you speak to 3 a little bit? Just, as far as he's saying it's going to, back up over his property, and you described here in number 3 how it how the water actually will travel. Could you just kind of go over that again?
I can get,
Which one do you need? I got his,
Yeah, I've got
I got
it.
yours.
yeah, I got
Okay.
it. Thanks.
That's his.
Yeah, can I, any way I can kind of push this up a little bit?
Maybe. No, it's.
Maybe if I,
Let me see your mouse for a second.
see if I could just kind of slide that out just a tad, if it's possible. Unless I can go on, can I go on the side maybe? That bar? Oh, yeah, there you go. That's better. All right, that's perfect.
There you go.
Let's see if I can get this bigger here. Yeah, so here we go. So. And what this shows topographically, and these are topographic contours. So the low spot for this swale is actually located off of our parcel, and it kind of comes up here, and you can see the wetlands. This is a little piece of the swale. There's another little piece of the swale here. So the discharge from the pond comes down this path here. You can see the little V here. That's a swale. It comes through here, comes down through here, and then it goes off the page. When it turns around, then it goes this way down the page. Let me see if I can, I did highlight that on the other drawing here. Let me see, this one. Yeah, let me see if I can pull this one out. I grabbed this just before. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So this dark blue line here represents that channel that's back there. If you walk back to this property, there's a channel that comes in. The tree line is pretty much the same as the property boundary. And this is the low area. So the water comes out of the pond and there's a channel. It's clearly defined. It's about 1.5 feet, 2 feet deep. Comes through here like this, comes down here, and then it comes down the end. You know what? I got a better thing to show you. Let me show you. I brought this just in case. Oh wait, I gotta go back to,
He's fine.
I gotta go back to this. Where'd my other files go?
Bottom in the middle.
Yeah, right there.
All right, let me see. All right, so what I did, and let me show you this. This is easier to see. I went and looked at the Google image of what's coming out of this pond here. And this goes back a couple of years before Penske was built, but this hasn't changed in this area. So if you look here closely, you can see like the outfall of the pond, and it comes through here, and see this dark line through the trees? There's a dark line that comes like this, comes down here, turns a corner and heads south. And then when it gets south, you can see it. See how it clearly comes down here? That's the channel that flows along that lot. And then it comes around and turns this way. And then it goes to the cross culvert on Craftsville. So at one point in time, there was, when this was farmed or something, there was a channel that came down here across this parcel. And it doesn't, our parcel boundary is like right up here. It actually goes through the corner of, what's the name of the company that owns Archmax, I think is the property. So Wilson's property is over here. This is his property over here, further in this direction. And this is the Armax property, which comes like this, and it ends right about here. And then this is, I think Penske owns that piece now.
Yeah.
So this swale, you can see, here's the pond. And here's the other cigar detention basin. So this has an outfall. You can see the outfall here. It goes from here, it goes into this pond. So the water goes into this pond and it eventually comes out. And I think there's sort of two channels. There's sort of like one here, and then there's sort of like this one over in this direction, depending on how high the water is. But they come down here and they go right along this path. You can see the dark line, and they come like this. So we're not doing any grading in this area because it's not even on our property. So we're going to do some grading on this side because the new pond is going over here. So we're going to do some grading. We're going to match in off of our property line. We're going to match in and have the basin here. It'll have an overflow that goes from here into here. And then this overflow that's now here will be moved from here to here. That's what we're doing. So his property's up here and it's quite a bit higher in elevation. And I think he was concerned that this area would be flooded out, but again, it doesn't flood because this well-defined channel here actually takes that runoff. And it's quite a bit higher on this side than it is in the swale. If you go out there in the swale, it's pretty, George, I think you took a look at that swale when you were out there. It's pretty predominant, right? Yeah. So that's my response here is that there's not really gonna happen, plus a reduction in the amount of peak from the 100-year storm. Since we're significantly reducing it, it's not an issue now, it certainly won't be an issue later. And we don't have any history of it being an issue. And that was it. Then he had a question about why we're not using underground stormwater systems like they did at Penske, but Penske, I haven't really reviewed their design, but if you don't have, ideally, when you do stormwater management, it's most practical to put it above ground if you can, because you can build a surface pond. It's much less of a cost per cubic foot of volume stored than something underground. So we didn't really have it. We had plenty of land out here that we could make a large pond and get the volume that we needed, so it made more sense. Plus surface ponds offer, a better water quality treatment than something underground. So, we opted with what the DEP considers, even though they do allow the underground, above ground's better, so we went with the above ground. And there were some questions about what the wetlands were on the parcel. And again, I think this parcel was reviewed by both the Penske people and also Mr. Logan went out and did that. So, we're taking a snapshot of what's actually there. And by looking at on the ground, high intensity delineations for that. Yeah, I think that's it. He's, the southwest corner, he's concerned about grading and issues associated with that. But again, I think these are addressed in our memorandum for the record, and any other questions, I'd certainly be glad to answer.
When you started, you said it was 150-foot square building. It's more than that.
No, 150, 500, 150,000.
was a,
Yeah, we should correct that for the record.
Yeah, there's two different. There was
Yeah.
150 and then there was one that was a.
I question the number.
Better pay better attention to my wife when she tells me she spent $100, right?
Wetlands and
Oh, okay.
upland review versus.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
said, that doesn't.
No, it should be.
Yeah, 150,500. Thank you.
Thing.
Thank you for catching that. I appreciate it.
Some assumptions of this is, if the emergency spillway where the water flows is lower than Jerry Wilcox's property, we got no problem.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any issue.
Yeah, and that emergency spillway, the DEP wants you to put those in.
Yeah.
But our analysis shows that, and I wrote it in the memo, for a 100-year storm, our elevation in that pond is, let's see what it is, it's 102.88. The top of the spillway is 103.75, and then when you get to the bottom of the spillway, it's down at 97, I think, 96.
There was problems with Mr. Wilcox over the years that breeding got done and they were using his property for a pond.
Yeah, he actually has it.
Created.
Yeah, he's got a detention basin lower than his operations area that actually overflows out to this parcel.
There was a road put through there that had to disappear.
Yeah, there's a-
They backed it up on his.
Yeah.
And got a little unhappy, which I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, I looked at it and it's my professional opinion, that's not an issue, and I think we've got.
Any other questions from the board?
Well, this is probably gonna be a question for Mr. Logan, just more of a, well, let's call it a question. So, but I wanted to use while you're there, your picture, your photo. So in the wetlands investigation memo, it's mentioned that there was a inadvertent encroachment, and it kind of, if you look at the picture, matches up with, I mean, where your crosshairs are, if you were to go, yeah, like right up, yeah. So I was just kind of trying to place that, like, so his suggestion or opinion was, to, kind of mitigate through a removal of roughly a foot of overburden through a topsoil amendment followed by planting wood. But can you kind of explain what's gonna happen there construction wise?
Regular trade. George Logan for the record, Rema Ecological Services, certified soil scientist, professional wetland scientist, certified ecologist. Yeah, so here's the clincher. I did this before I saw the plan. So now the plan shows basically that little corner that of the inadvertent, this is based on my 2013 wetland delineation. Subsequently, when Mr. Penske and team were out there, they redelineated that. If you look at my line versus their line, it's coincidental. There's a little push. You know, I had a little area that's a little larger here. They had a little area that was a little smaller there along the edge of the pond, which I had delineated. But that little area is now going to be pretty much at the edge of your detention basin, right? So if you look at this,
Oh, yeah, that's this area here. Right in there somewhere.
so if you look at your plan, yeah, it's there. So at that time, I hadn't seen the plan, so that was my recommendation. Hey, we can take some dirt out, plant some plants, and we're back to square one. Now,
Is
so
there
it's
in here?
yeah, we're a little further up maybe.
Yep.
So now what we end up happening is that area that's been compromised has been mitigated by the fact that you're going to have a wet pond, which is actually a regulated area. And at the edge of the pond, just like you see in the existing farm pond, if you look down, even though the slopes are pretty steep, you see a little bit of a band, 4 or 5 feet of emergent vegetation. So you're going to end up having something similar here. And that's a wet pond, right? Because it's at elevation 99-ish.
Yep.
And so the pipes are exactly the same elevation. So the existing detention basin water level will be the same as the one that you're proposing here. So that's going to be a wet. So the mitigation here has happened by the fact that there's going to be a wet band around the entire pond. And so that's in itself probably more than mitigates, because nature itself, and especially with if you look at the seed mix that's being proposed, about half of the species are what we call facultative upland, and half of the species are facultative wetland. So the ones that are going to like the wetter environment are going to take off, and you have Joe Pye weed, you have some sedges and whatnot. Another thing you might be interested to know about is that this operation is going to be a cleaner operation than the existing operation.
We realize that.
The farm pond is going to be a lot happier.
Mhm.
I bet.
And this pond has been used for years for wood ducks. They breed in the surrounding trees, and I've seen up to 12 little ones. And I have pictures of them. It's very, very funny because one got left over and we were trying to figure out what was going on and finally came back. So that's going to be happier. The pond is going to be happier because if you look at it under this condition, what do you see?
Green scum.
Yeah. It's all covered. And you can see also the existing one.
Mhm.
So as far as nutrients are concerned, they're going to have like a reduction by manyfold as far as nutrients, because as you know, mulch does one of the things it does is it decays, it releases phosphorus, tons of phosphorus. That's not going to happen anymore. So I'm happy.
Did that answer your question?
Yes. Yep.
Any other questions?
Is there a maintenance schedule for the?
Yeah, you did say.
Yeah.
It's on there.
Yeah.
It's on the note.
Okay, once it's on the.
Yeah.
sheets. I read this last.
Yeah.
Picture.
Can we flip chairs? Can I go?
All right, if there's no other questions from the board, then we can open it up to those who support the project. Anybody that would like to speak that is in support of this proposal? Or anybody online? If you want to stop sharing up at the
Yeah.
top.
I want to also object to see.
Oh, yeah. Close the PDF documents. It did it anyway. Just close those out. Close all tabs. It's on the pop-ups,
Where?
on the actual PDF, the pop-up in the middle of the screen.
Middle? Oh. Close that. Okay,
Okay,
now I can.
yeah, you're good. Is there anybody in favor of the proposal that would like to speak?
Thank you.
Seeing none and seeing no one online, I would open the floor to anybody that wishes to speak that opposes this proposal. Is there anybody that wishes to speak? Okay. Are there any additional comments from the public? You've already addressed Wilcox's comments.
And they have been entered into the file and will be entered into the record, both his comments and
Then
the rebuttal.
Perfect. Any other comments from the staff?
No, everything was covered and yeah, Len, our town engineer, received the drainage report, had conversations. He had some administrative details that can be fixed. He said not affecting the wetlands and anything that needed to be addressed would be part of the PZC. So he's got no issue.
Okay,
And there's a motion prepared for the motion prepared by the staff for the Wetlands Commission, if so, you so choose.
okay. Do we close the meeting and then vote, or do we vote in the public hearing?
Close the public hearing and that.
As long as everybody is
I'm saying, any final comments?
Fine.
from the applicant.
Well, I gotta read it.
Any final comments from the applicant? All right, entertain a motion to
Okay.
close the public hearing.
Here we go. I'll make a motion to approve application 12.
Closing the public hearing
Oh,
first.
excuse me. Motion to close the public hearing.
There's, all in favor?
I
All right, go ahead,
No,
thank
I
you.
gotta read it. Slow. Give you a break. Okay, motion to approve application number 12-2025 with the standard conditions for 68 Newbury Road. Request for a permit for the disturbance of 100,408,714 square feet within the upland review area and a temporary disturbance of less than 1,000 square feet of regulated area to install riprap at drainage outfall locations in association with the site development at 68 Newbury Road. Owner applicant UW Realty 7 LLC, map block and lot 093-1906 with the plan reference proposed light manufacturing dash warehouse facility 68 Newbury Road, East Windsor, prepared by F.A. Hexeth Associates Incorporated for UW Realty 7 LLC, map block lot 093-19-006, zone M1, dated May 28th, 2025, pages 1 through 12. Get it all?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? So moved. All right. Thank you, guys. The second item on our public hearing is going to be postponed until next week. Not next week, sorry, next month. Right?
Next meeting.
Next meeting, which is next month. Yes.
IWWA 11-0.5.
That is
What is that even what's going to?
August. Our August meeting, which is the 6th.
6.
Sorry to disappoint.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on, we have no continued public hearings, so moving to new business for IWWA 13-2025 for 4 New Park Road modifications to a stormwater basin within the upland review area for a commercial building addition. Owner applicant is Makuta LLC, Fred Kuda, map block lot 72-1999. Who do we have? You'll have to grab another chair, Jay.
Usual guy.
Good evening, J.R. Street, J.R. Rousseau and Associates here representing the owner applicant. Mafuda LLC. Pull up a chair. This is an application for a phased project in terms of building additions. And property is located on New Park, which is in the industrial park. It's a little dead-end street off of Thompson Road. Probably most of you have never driven down it.
Yeah.
A mushroom factory.
No,
No.
no, actually, as you head up Thompson Road from Route 5, it's probably up less than a quarter mile. There's a little street on the right.
Easy to miss.
I think one building.
This is actually the only building that is accessed from that street. The other buildings front on Thompson.
Right.
And this one is in the back. You can't see it at all from Thompson Road or from Route 5 for that matter. So in this case, you're coming in this way, the road ends right here. Thompson Road is right out here, and Route 5 is down this way. For location wise, this is the back of the property, which is CubeSmart, which is the self-storage facility. And then the next piece is Shirley Beach, which I think is the Christmas tree farm, if I'm not mistaken. Is
Yeah.
that this way?
Down there.
It's down further? Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure then who she is.
Oh, these,
Yeah,
John Beese's widow.
okay.
Sure.
So that's the next piece north, and then we get up to 4 Thompson Road LLC in the corner, which is the old East Windsor Diner, which is now
Amazing.
Farms. So this is up behind that. And what it is, there's 2 buildings here. This was the existing building, which was Blake Equipment for years. We came into you back in, let me go back here. Looks like 2016 for a new building, which was built right here, which was an expansion of Blake Equipment. And what's happening now is Blake Thermal, which occupies some of this space, is in need of some more space, which is a phase 1 addition, and then a phase 2 addition that kind of wraps right around this building. This may happen 3 or 4 years down the road. The phase 1 is what they need to put in now. Now, in order to do that, when this was built, we built a detention basin, which is located here. Comes back up into this area. This is the forebay. This was the basin. This was the emergency spillway. And the limit of the wetland is the blue line right here that wraps itself around and comes all the way back around like this. This is a wooded wetland. Kind of acts actually as a natural detention pond. The flow eventually gets to here. There's stormwater coming off the road that also comes into it here. There's a little pond here. So in order to increase the impervious coverage with the 2 additions that we're proposing, it requires a slight modification of the existing basin, which is a small expansion that's located here in the upland review area and a slight modification of a berm that's here. It needs to be raised up about 6 inches to take care of the additional flows. As you just heard from Mr. Hesketh on his drainage, this one was designed similarly. There are new drainage regulations that came out last year that we're using, and the stormwater numbers have changed. They have increased. We are now using those as well and using the new methodology. And we find that we require this slight expansion to take care of these 2 little additions. The first addition is about 6,200 square feet in size, and the phase 2 is a little more than double that in size when that gets built. So it picks up the water from the roof of the building, of both buildings eventually, ties it together here in a drainage system, ties down in here into the existing catch basin, and finds its way into the basin right here. So it's a slight expansion here, slight modification of a little berm here. And that's really what's involved in terms of work within the regulated area. There's no wetland disturbance. The plan was reviewed by the town engineer. He did have some initial comments. We've addressed those, given him some revisions, and I think you have a memo indicating that he's reviewed the revisions and that he's comfortable with what the changes were made by my partner, Tim Kuhn, to address those comments. So it's fairly simple plan in terms of a wetland permit. Like I said, just some work up here in the upland review area and no disturbance within the wetland itself. All the rest of the activity is out in here.
No parking?
No parking proposed. No, actually, to give you a little bit of history, Blake Equipment, actually, the company was sold, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I think. And they occupied a good portion of this building. They're no longer there. Blake Thermal was there at the same time, which that business is still there. So there's actually not as many people working there as there used to be. This was a warehouse storage facility for Blake Equipment, and it still is. It's leased to them, but Blake Thermal operates out of here, and they don't have enough space for their shop area, which basically what they deal with is industrial furnaces, and they rebuild industrial furnaces.
Like Noble?
Similar, I think,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, so this building has a crane where you can bring a truck up and they can pull a furnace off of a flatbed and bring it into the building to rebuild them. That's the type of work that they do there. So no, there's no expansion of any parking area other than a little bit of gravel around here to get access around the building. There's some storage in the back for piping and so forth, but no parking expansion at all. So that's a basic overview. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. A lot of the things that you asked on the other plan, is there a maintenance plan? There's a soil and erosion control plan that's part of the set. Seeding, details for silt fence and so forth. It's all there in the plan set that you have that was submitted as part of the application.
Any questions?
I just going to make an observation. I see the pre and post development peak flows kind of almost don't change. I mean, they go down a little bit, but it's almost keeping things exactly the same,
Exactly
really.
the same way as it is, because this increase is very small. It's not very big. So it doesn't change too much. I think there was a slight modification of the outlet structure, but it wasn't very much. In fact, it was almost close enough where we didn't even need to do this. The original pond was somewhat oversized where it almost fit to take this, but not quite. Modification, it worked so that we had
And
no increase.
they are decreasing the retrofitting that outflow by excuse me,
This,
by an inch.
yeah, there's a slight change in the basically what it involves is taking a plate and putting it over the outlet structure and reducing the size slightly, which meters the water a bit. Not even the orifice that's there stays there, and we're modifying it by putting a plate over it.
And did you do that so you don't have to change the catch basin, the pipe that heads to the catch basin, or did that not even?
No, this had the capacity to take everything. We don't have to change any of that.
One question I have is that this is a two-phase project, so does anything need to be done again for the drainage? Well, that accounts for.
It was all
Okay,
It's all taken into account when we did this work. So when the second phase is
Okay.
built, it's all there. We won't be back unless he increases.
that's what I was
the size.
asking.
We should take.
We enjoy coming here and like,
Thanks, Jay.
They're not that.
we won't have to come back again, but you never know.
Well, if they change.
If they change the size and it gets bigger, we may be back.
Yeah, understood.
Space, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot more room, to be honest, but it's a business that's growing, so I guess that's a good thing.
That's an interesting lot.
Yeah, we worked on this. Honestly, I never knew it existed because you can't see it.
No, you don't know.
We don't even know what was
Is there
there.
hunting back there?
I think it still is.
Beyond it, yeah,
Yeah, over in here and further back.
or the field trial.
Eventually you get into the field trial, yeah. Yeah, there was some of the work we did out here some years back. I was out there a couple times and there's a lot of
Wildlife.
deer sign and wildlife, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's ducks in the, in fact, when I was out there a few weeks ago, there were ducks and geese in the pond right there.
Yep.
Popular area.
Yeah.
All right.
It's because it's such free draining soil.
Yeah, actually, it's not.
It's a lot of clay, hard as a rock.
Red crap.
No, it's not even that. It's clay,
It's great clay.
very clay,
Oh, that's great clay there.
Oh, great.
Any comments from staff?
Oh,
right to the surface.
No, what, he,
Almost.
as he said,
pretty close.
addressed all
Everything
the
that's the grass, it's above it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the soil map, it's like
Using.
D.
Yeah, decent was.
Any other questions, comments? I would entertain a motion.
Okay. Make a motion to approve application 13-2025 with standard conditions. For New Park Road, request for a permit for modification of a stormwater basin within the upland review area for a building addition. Owner applicant Makuda LLC, Fred Kuda, map block lot 072-19-099. Plan reference, building addition. 4 New Park Road, East Windsor, prepared by J.R. Russo and Associates for Makuda LLC, 4 New Park Road, East Windsor, Connecticut, map block lot 072-19-99, zone M1, dated May 28th, 2025, revised May 20th, 2025, pages 1 through 6.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
I
Okay, thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
for the holiday.
Say enjoy
Yeah,
your.
you too.
All right, we have nothing for old business, we have nothing for miscellaneous, but we do have an agent review and decisions. We have IWWA 14-2025 for 53 Stoughton Road for the construction of a 12 by 10-foot garage in a regulated upland review area. Owner applicant is Anthony, I'm gonna butcher that, and map plot 332152. Any
No, they're putting a shed. They actually just finished this new construction of a single family home. I think they got their CO a couple months ago. And when he had put this in, they still had the erosion controls around. So I was like, well, it's an upland and you still have the erosion control. So I think that it's an agent decision. And there is a mistake on this agenda under violations. Number 2 should actually be under agent decision.
Okay, for
So-
178 North Road.
Yeah, 278 North Road. They did everything by the book. There is no violation.
Okay. I was really confused when I read
Yeah,
that.
it got put in the wrong spot, but just to skip over the
Yep,
actual violation. 278 North Road, there's one tree they need to remove that's gonna hit the house. It's got state designated escarpment soil. It's already been disturbed. They've got the driveway right there and then the other driveway going up to the church. So I saw no reason it should not be an agent decision
Yeah.
because it's just a matter of taking the tree down.
they're not stumping or removing the stump or anything, right? It's just,
I know.
No, I think he just wanted to get
Cut the
the
tree.
main part, yeah.
Okay.
Tank.
yeah, I don't see any issue.
So there was, yeah, that's all.
Okay,
And then for our only violation, which is a semi-violation, 20 Newberry, which a couple of you have brought to my attention several times. Went over there, yes, definite tree clearing. And initially he was sent a regulation, a notice of violation. So what happened, I found, and I believe I included it in here, in the paperwork. They originally had a decision to put a full building with parking lot and tree clearing. This was back in. The plan is in your packet. Obviously, that's expired, so they would have had to come back.
okay,
But because it had already previously been approved for a full parking lot and building and tree removal, I did it as an agent decision. And I told them if you are gonna come back and do this, you're gonna need to
okay,
go before the Wetlands Commission again. And he's completely understanding of that.
we
So,
already talked about last time, so
yeah, he's,
clarification, got it.
yes. And that's all I've got.
All right, nothing for conference seminars and trainings, anything for correspondence? Haven't seen anything. General board discussion, we have one thing. You wanna go ahead?
Bylaw.
Yeah,
believe.
the bylaw we wanted to review for membership. The chairman may recommend to the executive officer of the town, removal of any member who fails to attend 3 successive regular meetings or 4 regular meetings in a calendar year without good cause, which would be for Kurt. Yeah, for Kurt. So we are within our, bylaws to make this request with a 2/3 vote from the agency.
Make a motion to suggest to the Board of Selectmen that they remove Kurt Kebschel for non-attending under those conditions.
There are bylaws.
Those are our bylaws, right?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
I,
Perfect. All right.
2/3.
Will that go on to their next meeting? agenda?
I will get,
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday, not
Tomorrow?
tomorrow.
oh, next,
Yeah.
Get done.
Next week.
Next
oh,
week.
next week. I should be able to get that on.
One thing to discuss.
Yes.
When you read the thing, you used to say a certain amount of number of regulations,
Yeah.
That's our standard conditions.
Standard conditions.
standard conditions.
We've been getting lazy.
Yeah, it's our regular standard conditions. And then if we need to add anything, we call those out specifically.
But I think we should say how many there are so
Yeah.
that it's in the record.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Okay.
We
For
can do
future
that.
Future.
motions.
Motion wasn't written that way, so that's why it got written.
Ricky.
Yeah, well, no, you're right, Rick. Shouldn't have been changed. It used to be in there.
Then if we added some,
Oh, yeah, we've had, sometimes we've added 3 special conditions.
Yeah, we've added.
They used to have them with each application, the listing of the conditions as well, but I thought, well, they're gonna get those and we've had them, so to put them in the packets every time may be redundant. Unless we, yeah, so I'll add the number,
Yeah, add the number.
and then if we add any, then we have obviously always get that. So I will make sure that goes in the
Okay.
future.
Get it done.
Any other just discussions? I would open up to the public. Hello, public.
Taking
Anything you want to say?
No, just observing.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve then. Or to adjourn.
Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, you want to make it?
make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
8:07.
He wants to join us.
Jay does.
No, he
Jay does. Give him the application. Don't let him out of the room until he gets one.